Hello everybody. Today is Wednesday the 28th. I missed yesterday's reading, but I did one on Sunday. I did one on Monday. So I'm going to miss a day here and there anyways. I mean, even mystics got to take a day off, right? Shamans. I'm more of a shaman. I have shamanism in my blood from what I understand. So some of my ancestors from way back when were shamans. So, and I didn't know anything about it because nobody in my family ever told me anything, well, about anything for that matter. So they pretty much ignored me. It's all good. You know, it's helped me to grow and to be very, very, I guess you could say, capable. Take care of myself. I don't need anything from outside sources at all. And that's a liberating sense, actually. It's not to say that I don't like people or anything like that. There are a lot of people I don't like, you know, to be honest. But, you know, it is what it is. I know that I have an obligation, so I try to help where I can. I try not to judge in any way, shape, or form. It's not my place, you know. But anyways, I hope everybody out there is having a really good day. I missed yesterday because I have a lot of things going on in my life, a lot of turmoil. In fact, my readings have been, you know, very accurate for me. So I hope it's helping somebody else out there. In fact, you know, the sense that I get is I really am speaking to at least one other person out there who's really going through it right now. And I don't know exactly everything that's involved with that, of course. I'm not there with them. But it feels as though somebody's having some kind of, it seems like a personal type of relationship problem. I mean, I don't know what it is. Maybe somebody found out somebody was betraying them, somebody was unfaithful, something along that nature. But that's what I feel. It feels like somebody was very, very hurt by it. Not that I know if that other person was themselves playing or whether they were faithful or not, or if they done something to potentially bring that about. I don't know. I can't say. Not that any, you know, two wrongs ever make a right, but it does go along with the reading after all, too. It does feel that way. So let's recap, since I did an entire week's reading, and then we're doing, you know, everything within that week based on that previous energy. We'll call that our past energy, if you will, and potential future, with Ingwas being the overall energy for the week as a whole. Now, Ingwas, again, is God Freyr. It's his room. So there are several rooms that actually representative of, you know, gods and goddesses and things of that nature. And Ingwas just happens to be Freyr's. And Freyr is a very masculine god, okay? And so that energy basically is reflective of that. You know, just think of positive masculinity attributes and traits, characteristics. You know, sexuality, strong virility, that kind of a thing, male, masculinity, fertility, the seed. But it also stands for things such as ancestry. And it's one of those runes you can use in any type of, you know, if you're into magic and things of that nature or what have you, you can use that to, you know, bring forth your ancestors, speak to your ancestors specifically. You know, I mean, Christians use crosses and things like that, or rosaries or what have you. It's no different in that perspective, excuse me. But the overall energy, again, of Ingwas also means freedom and conclusions. It means the home, wherever it is you call home, or whatever it is you call home, whether you're homeless or not, it doesn't matter, wherever you lay your head. And also all loose ends being tied off. So maybe something is coming to a conclusion. Okay, and I hope everything works out for whoever it is that's going through it. You know, I understand, believe me. When you're dealing with things, especially when you're dealing with them and there's nobody else that is sharing any of that with you, then, you know, it's not easy, of course. But you're never really alone anyway, ever. All right, so the energy for Sunday was Rado. Now, Rado is basically the great journey and so on. It's anything relating to traveling, whether it's your carriage or automobile, mobility, movement, and the rhythm, personal rhythm, as well as the rhythm of the universe, the cycles, if you will. So automobiles. It also speaks about either relocation, possible vacations, evolution, change of settings, or making a move. So, I mean, again, that goes along with somebody maybe that is, let's just breaking up or something of that nature. I'm sorry to hear that if that is you, if you're going through that out there. I mean, we've all had relationships that went south, and it doesn't have to be because of anything you did or didn't do. So don't take it personally. I know it's hard not to. Of course, you had a lot of invested perhaps in that relationship, but sometimes, people do what they're going to do, and there's nothing you can do about that. The only person that you can control is yourself. So don't try to do anything about that. And karma will come back and deal with that person. So don't try to take any matters into your own hands and so on. I know that's not an easy thing to do. Trust me, I know. Perhaps I'll share, because I could literally write a novel about some of the things that have happened to my life. But it helps us to grow, right? What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, they say, and it's been true in my life, so I assume that it's probably true in yours. So that's the energy for Sunday. For Monday, it was Ewas, and Ewas basically was in reverse. Now, again, it still holds to the same energetic, field that we're talking about for that week in terms of journeys. Ewas in reverse talks about long journeys, and that could be both psychological as well as physical. Talks about changes. So, timing, feeling confined or restricted, mistrust, restlessness, betrayal. So again, all those go hand in hand with some type of relationship turning south. And again, I'm sorry if you're going through that. It's never easy. And for Tuesday, the overall energy along with Ingwas was Tiwas. Now Tiwas is the god Tyre's rune. And Tyre, again, he's the warrior god, but he's also the god of justice, discipline, duty, responsibility, victory in any action, including legal suits, sacrifice, and courage, success. So that was the general energy that I pulled on Sunday for Tuesday. Remember now, I pulled for every day of that week in advance. Okay? Now we're going to pull again for today. Today's energy generally was in advance was Heglas. Heglas is the very first rune of the second Ayat, and Ayat simply means family or grouping. To recap, if this is your first time, there's 24 runes, and they're generally found within 3 Ayats, or families or groups of 8. So there's 8 runes per family or grouping. Each one of those families or groupings is more or less seen over by a god or a goddess, if you will. The second Ayat, where this particular rune is basically housed, is Heimdall. And Heimdall basically is the warrior god. He was a lesser god in the sense that there's not a whole lot of information about him historically or mythologically. There is some. They talked about, especially in the final battle. We would call that in Revelation for the Christians and so on. And there's many other names for every culture. But, Ragnarok is what it's called in the Norse mythology. And he's going to play a big part in that. But he's actually the guardian of Asgard, the major home or planet or reality, if you will, of, the Aesir gods. So, and Odin, Thor, those Loki, those kinds of gods, and so on. So what Haglaz for Wednesday actually represents is hail, disruption, change, delays, limits, upheavals, destruction, trial, and inner harmony. You know, all of those things actually very much are what I experienced today. I got some serious, blindsiding that happened to me. I mean, it's not exactly something to brag about. Somebody who's more or less empathic and somewhat psychic and everything else to say I got blindsided, but it happens to all of us, especially if you are empathic, because you want to always believe the best in people, and sometimes even with the red flags, you just don't want to see them. It is what it is, and I hope you're not experiencing that as well. It's hard sometimes to have faith in humanity when you keep getting let down by people who just, for no reason whatsoever, have decided to cause you harm or take advantage of you. All right, so that's the general energy for today. We're going to pull another series of runes to specify or to really hone in on the energy for today. Now, that's just an overall advanced energy for that weekly pull. For tomorrow, it is Algis. Algis is basically a rune about protection, rebirth, quest, strength, dependability, friendship, protection, protecting yourself and protecting others, so guardianship, if you will, defense, and the warding off of evil. Again, these runes, which are actually letters in the Nordic alphabet, and I'm going to make another video about all of that, because I did make one. It was an hour and a half long, and it never did download. I don't know why. I tried it for 2 days straight, and it just wouldn't download. So I guess it just wasn't meant to be. So I'm going to make smaller, shorter ones. That would be more palatable for most people anyways. And I'll tell you exactly what each of the letters represents. I mean, you can learn, I have, how to write in, runic. But every rune also has a magical connotation attached to it as well. Now again, it was the god Odin who sacrificed himself to himself, as the poetic Edda speaks about, and this is where we get the information of where the runes came from, if you will, where he sacrificed himself, hung himself on the world tree for 9 days and nights, impaled himself and removed his eye, the single eye kind of a thing. And again, that symbology is also found in many, many other belief systems. And when we see the friggin' celebrities today and every one of their pictures, what are they always doing? They're always doing this kind of crap. What that means for them is something different, however. They are referring to the all-seeing eye, but not the one of a god, a benevolent deity, if you will. The one that they're more or less attached to is anything but benevolent. So that's a whole nother story. When I get more into my conspiratorial type of videos, hopefully I'll have the use of the software and all that, so I can make it more palatable and enjoyable as well. But I have decades worth of information to share. Things that very few people actually know. Alright, so Wednesday again, Haglaz is disruption, change, delays, limits, upheavals, delays, destruction, trials. That's internal trials. It could be a physical trial as well. And inner harmony. I know some of these things seem a little bit contradictory at times. Again, because nobody can actually agree on what all of the meanings actually are. I mean, if you got 3 books, you would get 3 different types of meanings for some of these. But you have to look at the mythology of it. When you look at the mythology, you get a better understanding of what these runes represent and everything else. So you can see where many of these words actually emanate from, according to the stories of the gods or goddesses that are representative of many of these runes themselves. And it's very fascinating mythology too. They have all. If you like, for example, The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings, well, then you have some insight into Norse mythology, because that's where J.R. Tolkien got it all. Even the runic language of either the elves or the dwarves. I like that movie myself, but gives you some idea of what their mythology is all about. So you have all the monsters, the giants, great epic battles and things like that. So let me see. For Friday, the energy is Isa. Now Isa is basically standing for stasis or frozen, frigidity, solid, cooling, for focus, frustration, separation, privacy, psychological blocks, and as a reminder to turn inward. Okay, seek your own intuition and so on, your own insights. That's where all the wisdom actually comes from, after all. Anyways, every philosopher has made mention of it to some degree. Well, I can't say every, but a lot of philosophers from ancient Greece to ancient China to even Celtic and others. They've made mention of that. So many of the great shamans or mystics of the past have become aware of it, and I believe that as well. It's not easy to hear that voice on the inside, though. You have to calm yourself down. This is why learning how to meditate is really, really important. There's nothing evil at all about it. I mean, if you pray, then you're actually working in some form of mental, meditative, state, if you will. However, when you're looking at it from a deeper perspective, you're simply just becoming more aware, self-aware. And Saturday is the rune Manus. Manus means man, mankind, humanity. It means altruism, creativity, attitude towards yourself and other people's, attitudes towards you. It means awareness, friends, enemies. So as you can see, a lot of these runes have, a wide variety of meanings, and I'm only giving you a small fraction of what is potentially, part of what, at least some of the authors believe to be the meanings for that. And I'm looking, for the mythology on these to see if there's any real verification of that. And I'm looking at the stanzas, the poetic Eddas, and so on, where they get the majority of the information about the runes and the mythology of, the Norse and stuff like that. Now again, remember now, these are simply symbols. They are letters of an alphabet, but they have a magical connotation that, the god Odin actually sacrificed himself and endured a tremendous amount of, hardship and pain and so on to get the magic of the runes, and he got it from the Norns. Now the Norns are the equivalent of the Greek fates, if you will, the three gals who weave the fate of every man, woman, child, and the universe in general. They weave it together. And you can even, in Norse belief systems, as far as invocation and stuff like that, you can even beseech the Norns, if you're having a really shitty life or whatever, to rewrite your life, if you will, so to speak. So that doesn't mean you're going to get it, but I'm just saying that is one of the things you are capable of actually, doing, should you want to do that. Okay. All right, so that was Sunday through Saturday, and we're going to go ahead and do our pool for today. Again, today is Wednesday, so I've only missed one day so far. I'm going to end up missing several, after probably Saturday or Sunday. I'm going to end up having to go away for a little while, and I don't mean to the funny house or anything like that, but I'm just dealing with a lot right now, so that's all I can say, and that's all I want to say. I don't want sympathy or anything. I just want you to understand. It's not that I'm not generally a very disciplined person, because I am, but getting back into it, what we have so far is again, Ingwas for the overall energy, and for today that we pulled on Sunday, in advance, in other words, the energy for today is Hagless. And again, Hagless is the disruptions, delays, upheavals, things of that nature. Okay? Now what we're going to do is, I've already invoked Odin. I've already shared what they call the Ond. The Ond is simply your breath, and it represents your spirit. You're mixing your spirit with the runes. Like crystals, certain people, Nikola Tesla among them, one of the most brilliant men we ever had, believed them actually to be living. Yes, they're solid to the touch, but they create, when pressures applied to them, a piezoelectrical effect. They generate electricity, and we use them in every single one of our electronic devices. Crystals are what makes everything happen in this world. But anyways, that's what these are as well. Now, it's not necessarily the only types of runes that there are. There are runes that are actually, cut directly from a living, fruit-bearing tree. That was the original tradition that we found in the historical works of people like Tacitus. Tacitus from Rome wrote quite a bit about, the actual ceremony and everything else of the Norse as they were performing their ritual acts in terms of the runes. So we get a lot of the information both from their, archaeological records, and they didn't have a whole lot, before 50 AD. There wasn't much at all, actually. A few gravestones, a couple of weapons that they've found in Germany and elsewhere, but they've actually found runes inscribed even in America. So it's been said that they got here, possibly 500 years before Columbus did, and they got around. I got some Viking blood, so I'm very proud of my ancestors. I got some runes tattooed on me too. I have Ansus right here. This is Odin's rune, okay? And this is Knaz right here. This stands for creativity, creation, things of that nature. Ansus is about wisdom and, God, that kind of a thing. So it's got a spiritual connotation attached to it as well. But it means, communicating, wisdom, inspiration, things of that nature. Since I write books, I make videos, I write music, I try to do a little bit of everything. I just wish I had more time to do it, but it's all good. So with that being said, having already invoked Odin 9 times and shared my own with the runes, shake them up a little bit and ask for the energy of the present for today. What is the energy for today, please? Energy for today. What is the energy for today? Wednesday, the 28th. Thank you. Clear it out. Okay. What we have, let me see if you can see that or not. Okay. What we have is what we call Yera. Okay. Yera is in the second ayat, or ayat. I'm not really sure. It doesn't give us a pronunciation of it. It's spelled A-E-T-T. So ayat, 8. I don't know. I've never heard anybody actually say it, so I can't say. There's no pronunciation in the book. There's pronunciation for the other runes, but this one is spelled J-E-R-A, but it's actually pronounced as Yera. Yera. Okay? So now Yera in the upright simply means year, harvest, cycles, boon, which is like a wish being granted kind of a thing. Legalities, maybe somebody is going through a court battle. Maybe, like I was talking about earlier, the energy that I've been feeling, somebody's might have been separated from a loved one or betrayed by a loved one, which goes with the energy yesterday and the day before. So there may be some legalities, outside of a relationship as well. It's not specific to that. But it also talks about rewards, peace, commitment, things of that nature. So that's Yera. Okay, now what I do when I make these pulls on a daily basis and not a weekly basis. We're doing a daily today. I've already done the weekly. I do what we call the runic river. Imagine you as being in your present state and you're standing in the river. The river is flowing past you, right? Okay. So as the river flows past you, you have your past behind you, right? But you also have influences to your left and to your right. Maybe a strong current that's pulling you to one side, or maybe pushing you to the other side, or whatever. We're going to go over those influences in a few minutes. But we're going to look at the past. The past has already been given to us from the 3 previous days. Okay? Now, the 3 previous days are Reigniting. Reigniting for the past was the great journey, and for Monday it was Ewas. Now, Ewas basically was in reverse, and that talks about the long journey. So we have great and long journey, and then we have for Tuesday we have Tiwas, and again Tiwas is the god Tyre's rune, and that stands for discipline, duty, responsibility, justice, honor, victory. So whatever it is you're going through, just stand fast and everything else, because there will be victory at the end of it. Now, how long your journey is going to be different for everybody out there. I've been going through mine for a couple of years straight now, and instead of getting better no matter what I do and how I do it, and I guess it really doesn't matter as long as you act in an honorable fashion and do things right. In the very end, things will work out. Okay, and that's my advice to you as somebody who's actually been going through it himself. And you'd be very surprised how I'm even able to do this if you knew everything that was going on in my life. But it matters not. All right, so like I said, the next room we're going to pull is for the influences. And again, the river represents fate. Fate is flowing past you, right? So you have influences to your left and to your right. And yesterday, or even 5 minutes ago, is already behind you, isn't it? Now, the only thing we'll have really as far as the future is, of course, just that, the future. We will pull energy for the future. It's what I did in total for the whole week on Sunday. And so far, everything is flowing exactly the way that each rune pull that I'm doing is very, very precise. And if you knew what each one of these runes means, it's been a little surprising to me that everything is really fitting in place the way that it is. It's not entirely a good reading. I mean, it looks like there's going to be a lot of uphill battles, okay, for all of us. All right, so can I get an influence, please? Influence, please, and thank you. Influence. Influences, please. What is influencing my collective out there? Look at that. What I pulled on Sunday for this particular day was this rune, Hagless. That's what this is. And, we pulled it 3-4 days later, and it's exactly the same rune for today. All right, so let me write that down. And Hagless. All right. So remember now, Hagless, like I already stated, means disruptions, change, delay, limits, upheavals, things of that nature, all right? Roadblocks that might be in our way, and we all have them. We all do. And believe me, I complain endlessly about mine, saying, God, I thought I had this cleared up with you already, kind of a thing, Why am I still having all these roadblocks? But it is what it is. What doesn't kill you makes you strong. I'm going to be freaking Samson or Hercules at the end of this journey. All right, another influence, please. So we have the disruptions and everything else that are affecting Yara. Did I even read the... Yeah, I did. Okay. So Yara is basically harvest, okay? So basically you're getting the harvest of what you had planted at an earlier state, okay? Your cycles and everything else, legalities and rewards. So somebody out there may have just gotten over with or will be currently going through a legal battle of some kind, and since I'm reading for the collective. There may be cross watchers out there as well, but the collective can more or less rest assured that you probably will be successful to some degree. Now, if the cross watcher is watching, then, and the cross watcher and my collective is watching, there's no way of saying for sure which one of those two are going to be actually successful if they're fighting each other. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. It's just life, man. All right, let's get another influence. We got an influence to our left. Now we're going to get the influence to our right. See which one's tugging on us and so on, and how that influences our day. So influence, please. Influence. What have we here? This is a good one. This is what we call Gibo. This is letter G. I know it's an X, but it's letter G in their alphabet. And it's basically like X marks the spot on a treasure map. It's a lucky rune, and that's good. Okay? So we have some disruptions and roadblocks with one, influence to our left, but we have Gibo to our right. And that's in the first Ader family. The first Ader family is more or less overseen by the goddess Freya. She's a Vanir goddess. You have the Aesir, that's Odin, Thor, Loki, Balder, and the like. And they actually went to war with each other, those two goddess clans, the Aesir and the Vanir. Well, Freya is the goddess of love, fertility, and witchcraft, and so on. Yeah, she has a long resume, as they all do. You can liken her to Tecate, in terms of mythologies. There are so many parallels in all these mythologies when you study them. They have a different flavor, but they're seemingly talking about, if not exactly the same people, just shared differently through that culture. They have deities that are very, very similar. Very similar. From the most ancient philosophies, from ancient Sumer, Babylonian accounts, and so on, Inky, Enlil, and the god Anu, and all that. I find that culture very, very fascinating, and I see a lot of the biblical stories that actually came from that. So that's a whole nother story, and I'll talk about that in another reading someday, or at least another video. But back to Gibo. Now, Gibo means gift, equal exchanges, offerings, partners, divine unions, relationships, and love. So maybe, that person who is having that difficulty or what have you, either you reconcile and fall back in love, or maybe there's love happening again for you, or will happen for you in the very near future. That's a good rune to have. In fact, it's good to carry that one with you for good luck. Like I said, it's like X marks the spot on a treasure map. So it's your lucky rune. Well, that and Munyo, which is in the same family as well. But we didn't pull that one yet. All right, so the last rune we're going to pull is for our future. Future energy. So today. Future energy, please. Future energy, thank you. Legus. This is letter L in their alphabet, but it's in the reverse in this case. All right? So what it typically means in the upright is anything water related, lakes, rivers, oceans, streams, ponds, anything of that nature. But as you know, or hopefully you know, in terms of any type of intuitive work that you're doing, whether it's tarot, tea leaves, coffee grounds, like I said yesterday, entrails if you're a druid, or runes. That anything water related, is one of the four elements. There's actually five, but the four elements that are usually used in this type of endeavor. Water represents, of course, your intuition, sometimes your psychic abilities, and so on. But in the reverse, what it means is escaping. It means temptations and greed. It means confusion, poor judgment, despair and fear. So, unfortunately, that's not a particularly good one. Not for our future. All right. So, it goes more in line with what I was feeling today. Some of these things are happening very, very specifically to what I've been pulling for myself. And I pulled for myself generally and only specifically for the first year I used to do this. I started doing it for other people off and on about a year ago. I don't particularly like doing that, and it's not something that is really spoken about in terms of doing that, for example, for people out there in Cyberland. I know the tarot readers do it all the time, but I've seen thousands of readings, and I'm telling you, I don't think that they're always picking up on the people that they're talking about or talking to specifically. That may be the case because sometimes they do rely upon that other person's ancestors, to get that information through them back to that person. That is true. For some, not all. The energy is whatever the energy is that's out there. And in terms of the Norse belief system, that person that you're reading for has got to be there in front of you where you can have them share their spirit or ond with the runes. So the runes can resonate with them and more accurately pick up what their energy is, good and bad, okay? So I don't like doing that kind of thing, personal readings across the airwaves with the runes. Now with tarot, it certainly would be more potentially accurate to do so. But I have seen nothing really that shows me that is something that is, something that I could feel good or comfortable with and say, yeah, this is an accurate reading for you specifically. When I do this, I ask specifically for my collective, not just for me. I pray and I invoke the energy for the week for my collective. And the collective is simply whoever's out there watching me. Okay? Now, I'm going to start invoking some oracle cards as well. Now, oracle cards, as the name implies, are just like prophetic bits of information that we can get. So, and again, I've prayed over these. I've more or less, I resonate with these cards. I've gone through the same type of bonding that we often do with tarot cards and the like. And we do that basically by, holding on to them or carrying them or just sticking them under your pillow for a week or so. So your energy will start to resonate with the energy of the cards. And that way you can become more one with them, and it can pick up on your energy and, pick up on other energies as well. So can I get an oracle card for today from my collective, please? A piece of advice from you to share with the collective, and thank you. All right, so it says, be bold and make the first move. That's what this oracle card says. And I'm using the oracle cards, which are the Moonology ones. Now, I got several of them. Okay, several types of oracle and at least 4 or 5 decks of different tarot cards. So let me write this down. Be bold, make first move. If that's my future wife that's out there, please do. Yeah, that would be nice. I won't hurt you. I only bite on the second date, so. All right, I'm going to pull one more oracle card for my collective out there as well. And again, I might start pulling tarot as well, but there's a million tarot readers out there. So, that's why I don't do tarot. I mean, I do tarot, but I don't do it online. Okay, can I get an oracle reading? Some knowledge, information, some wisdom to share with my collective. Okay, so the last one was make that first move. So that could go with the potential new love and everything else we just got. Okay. Now I'm using the Divine Feminine Oracle as well. They also have a Divine Masculine. But the feminine is more intuitive, creative, and things like that, where the masculine is basically all about getting out there and getting something, doing it, making things happen. The Divine Feminine draws things to it, her, them. And you don't have to be a woman to be in divine or feminine energy. Divine feminine energy is simply creative. It draws things to it instead of going out and getting it. It's like a magnet, if you will, kind of a thing. If you're, really resonating in that energy. But to be divine feminine, you basically have to be all four queens in the tarot deck, and what that means, embodying all four elements, fire, water, earth, and air, kind of thing. And each one of those has a specific representation, what it represents. All right. Oh, I have Lilith. Now, Lilith gets a bad rap. She's often associated with the first wife of Adam in some mythologies, but that I don't believe that necessarily to be true in terms of the actual where it came about. I think it goes back much, much farther in terms of, I think we can see some parallel stories with that to, the ancient Sumerian belief systems. I know it's incorporated in Gnostic beliefs and so on as being the first wife who rebelled against Adam. She wouldn't submit to him. So, she basically became a bride of, the lord of the underworld kind of a thing. Now, in Norse mythology, hell is not a place of torment. It's actually a place of rest, of regrouping, of reevaluating what you did and didn't do right, that kind of a thing. Okay. Now, Lilith is the first woman. She was there before Eve was. Like I said, she rebelled, would not submit to Adam, so God gave her, Eve. Excuse me. Now, Lilith, this says, I am the voice of my body and soul. I choose the life that I desire to live. And I think that's wonderful. I think there's nothing wrong whatsoever with that. I mean, we have one life while we're here. You're the one that should be in control of it, no other. Not the government, not your spouse, not your children. You, and only you. That's not to say that, of course, you don't share that life that you have with those around you, your wife, your immediate family, so on and so forth. But in the end, you are responsible only for you. You control nobody else but you. So anyways, collective, that's pretty much the draw for today. Been at it for almost 45 minutes. That means it's going to be hell trying to download this for some reason. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to be working on some other, some videos and so on. I'm going to go ahead and go over each of the runes specifically again, probably tomorrow. And then I hope to see some of you then. Otherwise, I wish you all a very good night. And if you are going through it, you have my prayers. And if you want to reach out, leave a message down below, say hello, or tell me to fuck off or whatever. Oh no, I shouldn't have said that. YouTube is going to ban me. Anyway, I wish you well. I do. And I will see you again very soon. Bye.